watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Bull.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Sound Off, where you get a chance to join us and be part of the conversation on everything sports. Tweet us your questions and comments using the hashtag Sunday Sound Off. Let's introduce tonight's panel. Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB in a program 10 to 2. Soren, how are you?
I'm doing well, Frank. Sorry about your big loss this week for the Villanova Wildcats.
Okay.
But, I think the team's going to be okay. You're going to be all right.
It happens. Things like that happen. Jared Sutton, the former Mizzou great. He's an NBA scout. He also works for the SEC Network. Jared, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Frank. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you, Sam, and Soren as well.
There you go. See, you can tell it's his first night, Sam. He's being nice, which is very unusual for this group. Sam Mellinger, of course, the fine columnist from the KC Star. How you doing, Sam?
I am great. I am actually legitimately great. Sammy Mellinger peed in the toilet tonight for the first time.
See, Jared? See what I'm talking about here, okay?
We were just talking about parting shots before the show started. How you just wasted your big finish.
You know what? That is an amazing thing, and that's good stuff.
I'm pumped.
You know how much diapers cost these days?
I do.
Gosh, okay. All right, gentlemen, here are our hot topics of the evening. Which is the better job, Kansas State or Mizzou? We'll explain why we're asking that question. Will the Royals sign Eric Hosmer to a long-term contract? And number 3, who will play the most games at second base for the Royals? But first, to our question of the week, should winning 13 straight Big 12 titles overshadow KU's off-court problems? I know they probably do, Soren, but what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a difficult one. Again, your brilliance, Frank, is always in the wording of the question. Should it overshadow it? I mean, clearly it's two different subjects, one good and one bad. And I think reality is no, it shouldn't overshadow it, because how you carry yourself as a human being, as a man, as an individual is more important than winning championships in sports. Now, I want to be careful here, because as of right now, we don't have a violent, well, one of the things that's still hanging open, and I'll tell you what, one of the things that I think will really change this and make it a lot easier to answer is if we ever get the case closed when it comes to the sexual assault that's looming over there. And I'm starting to wonder what's the deal here. The Baylor cases were kept open so that the kids could go through school and then move on, and everybody quit asking questions once they left the campus. And I think you got to wonder when is this case going to be closed? What are they waiting on to close the case? So that could change things. But where it stands right now, you have kids doing things they shouldn't do, and that's not right. And I would say, yes, it does slightly overshadow it. And part of that's because just the greatness of Kansas's on-the-court success has kind of made it blasé. You just expect them to win, so it doesn't get the run it really deserves around here. And right now, that's big business, the conversation, particularly for those that don't like Kansas, getting a chance to take their shots at a program that's pretty much bulletproof when it comes to wins and losses.
Jarrett, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think Kansas, when you look at this, it could have been a distraction for Coach Self. It could have been a distraction for the players. But you're talking about 13 straight, and I thought this year, they win it outright, and they win it convincingly. And they did it with a limited roster. They lose Azubuike to an injury. And they got great play from Josh Jackson. He's an NBA player. Frank Mason's a senior. Devontae Graham. But this team is limited to what Bill Self has had in the past. They haven't had your primary rim protector that Bill Self has had. Yeah, he's had Frank Mason. He's developed Frank Mason. But when you look at what's took place off the floor, it's a situation that's still being conducted, still being handled, like Soren said. I know the situation with Josh Jackson, obviously with the misdemeanor, and a lot of questions out there why he wasn't suspended. But that's all for Bill Self. That's his decision. He's a veteran coach. He's been down this road with players. This happens. Kids will be kids. They're 17, 21-year-old kids. I was a kid. I was a student athlete myself. We all make mistakes. So I look at it as Kansas came together. They found a way to win games and close games. I mean, you talk about fighting back. And winning close games on the road, and the games at Texas Tech, and coming back against West Virginia and Baylor as well. So yeah, I think they've done it in terms of they've won games this year that you're not accustomed to seeing. Usually they've blown out teams. They lose to Iowa State at home. They break that record, but then they go to Iowa State and win in Ames. So I think it's a testament to Bill Self. We'll see what takes place off the floor. That's got to be handled, but they have not made it a distraction. They've dealt with it in-house, and they've kept it private. And I know Coach Self will address that. He's a coach that's ethical. I know a lot of those coaches on the staff, and I think they'll take care of it and do what's right.
Okay, Sam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's obviously two separate questions here, but I think nationally, the troubles will overshadow the 13th straight to some degree. I think here locally, we have enough attention span here to sort of divide it a little bit. And the troubles, you can explain away or not excuse, but you can explain away each of these things that's happened, including, like, Jackson is only starting the legal process right now. Carlton Bragg was suspended for an incident in which video surveillance proved that, or convinced police that he was the victim. I mean, you can go case by case like that, but 4 out of the top 7 players have been arrested, suspended, charged, or the university investigation with LaGerald Vick, and that's just, it's an awful, awful look for a program that really hasn't had, compared to some other programs, these types of problems. And I think that all you need to know for the 13th straight is not overshadowing is that without the off-court problems, we'd be talking a lot more about how this really might be Bill Self's best coaching job. That a kid that originally was headed to Towson State is now, a probable, at least possible National Player of the Year. We'd be talking. The conversation around Kansas would be a whole lot different without these, without all the off-court problems.
All right, gentlemen, just getting started. Up next, our hot topics. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.